Нет, это не...
Today, we're going to be talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas and every other book in the series. These are my opinions. They're just opinions. If you have differing opinions, I totally understand. But there will be spoilers in this video, so if you are a huge high fantasy fan and for some reason have not read this series yet, click off of this video right now because I'm going to talk about these books in depth. So this is for people who have read this book or haven't read this book and just want somebody to do the work for them about creating an opinion on these. So let's get into the video. Let me just tell you about how I found these books. I went to Malaprops in downtown Asheville and I went to the employees recommended section. And this was one of the first books I saw. Now I had been seeing this book around. This was before I had been on BookTube or Book Talk or anything. And I had no idea what this was about. And I just read the first paragraph. Is when a 19-year-old huntress Feyre kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. And I was just like, I love a female character-driven story. I loved the cover of these books. I thought they were really gorgeous. I thought that this was really going to be about a huntress like providing for her family or something and like something goes wrong. Like I had no idea that this was going to be high fantasy. Maybe it was obvious from the back of the book, but for some reason when I picked this up, I didn't know what it was going to be. I would walk around with it, like reading it, and people would be like, oh, you're reading a spicy book, or like you're reading a book with a lot of smut in it. And I don't think it's like very evident in the beginning of the book that there's smut in it because I was reading it and I had no idea. I've never picked up a book and intentionally been like, let me read this because it's sexy. Like, reading smut doesn't do anything for me. But a lot of women, especially, really liked these books. And I can get it. I understand, but it's not really for me necessarily. But I did buy all of them and I did finish this whole series. And the question is, why? Why did I do that? Let me start out talking about the things that are really good about this book and this whole series. The plot twists are really compelling. There is a ton of buildup, especially in like this last book. A lot of people were like, A Court of Silver Flames is my favorite book in the whole series. I don't understand that at all. I liked these two the best. The reason I kept reading these is because Sarah J. Maas is really good at getting you attached to characters. And while I did think this book was cheesy and I thought it was kind of poorly written, like it kind of reads like a Wattpad fan fiction. And like this is very clearly the main character in this book is supposed to be Sarah J. Maas, which I kind of find unimaginative because Sarah J. Maas got pregnant at the same time A Court of Frost and Starlight came out, which is where Feyre is pregnant, and then Feyre is pregnant all throughout A Court of Silver Flames, and then just kind of like disappears, which I found kind of infuriating. There's a lot of very kitschy, like easy tropes in these books that's like male and female, and oh, he's like growling and protecting me and the baby. And Feyre in this book and this book reminded me of Twilight, which I never read, but I watched some of the movies, so I know. Basically, it's the same trope where like the baby might kill her and she just becomes like incredibly fragile and like you don't really see her. She just kind of Rysland or Rysand or whatever his name is kind of just like showers her with gifts and like gives her a whole house and like all of these things. And it's just like, we just got to take care of Feyre and the baby. I think that just because a woman is pregnant in a book doesn't mean she should totally disappear. And while I did appreciate the break and like the switch up, I was also kind of infuriated because I was like, why does this extremely powerful female character just totally get erased from like this whole narrative? Essentially the whole series is a little sexist and it's written by a woman. Like, what can I say? I don't know what to say. But I think I was about to talk about what I liked about these books and then just totally got derailed by what I didn't like about them. So let me go back to that. The things I liked about these, I really liked the character-driven narratives. I thought the characters were really kind of strong and like relatively well written, but there are like a lot of inconsistencies, I find, especially with her female leads, where they will be incredibly powerful and super strong and like the best thing that's ever happened to the world. Like in a Throne of Glass. In a Throne of Glass, Selena or whatever the hell her name is like supposed to be one of the best assassins in the world that we know. And like totally untrained men who have like no power will just like knock her off her feet and fucking almost kill her. And then whatever main character she's interested at the time that's a male will like come and save her or like help her with her wounds or like something. And I'm just like, stop.
Stop it.
She doesn't need you. Like, yeah, it's nice to have a partner, but like, can we not have a female character who can stand on her own 2 feet? Like, especially since she's supposedly the most powerful woman ever. Okay, this feels like I'm looking directly into the sun. I have to turn this down. So it's like, if she really is the most powerful person, like, Feyre is supposed to be all of these fairies combined, and she still needs help all the time. It's so infuriating. Okay, but anyway, back to what I like about the book. Again, super character driven. The characters are pretty good. I definitely stayed interested in this book because of the romances between her and Tamlin and then her and Rysland. And when that was over, I kind of just didn't care anymore. Like once I got halfway through this book and it was just mostly sex, which is like fine if you enjoy that. But it also is like 800 pages. It's 800 pages and it didn't have to exist. Like it didn't really add anything to the story. It's like there's a war in this book, there's a war in this book, there's a war in this book, and there's a totally different war in this book. And it's just like, who cares? At this point, who cares? I don't care. Just stop, get a grip. Like it could have ended here. It definitely could have ended here. She could have made this book the end. And that would have been good, I think. What else did I like about this book? I think that's pretty much it. I liked the characters. I liked the plot. Why did I read these? Yeah, God. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about why I hate these books, because that's clearly what I want to do. I think in this book, there was a whole bunch of times that she said vulgar gestures in A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is not said in any of the other books. She doesn't talk about vulgar gestures in any of the other books. She never describes what the gesture's like. It's almost like she wrote vulgar gesture and was gonna go back, like that was a placeholder for like what she really wanted to say they were doing, and never once described what the vulgar gesture is. It's like, can you please stop using this term without describing what is happening? And why are they only acting like children in this book? Like, why are they constantly flipping each other off only in this book? Like, what was going on in your life, Sarah J. Maas? Were you giving people the bird a lot at this time in your life? Just like little things like that really pissed me off. The other thing that really bothered me was, like I said, like the main female character constantly having to get saved by men, whether it was Tamlin or Rysland. The other trope that I hated was she so she gets kidnapped. So the other trope that I hated was she gets kidnapped. And there's like forced proximity, right? It's like she winds up falling in love with the other main character, Tamlin, simply because she is his prisoner. And later in the books, we find out that he's crazy. And then she's going to marry him anyway. She's like, oh, well, he has trauma. It's like, okay, tell him to go to therapy, go to fairy therapy. I don't know. Don't fucking marry the guy. That's a crazy move. So she's like literally walking down the altar in one of these books. It's probably this one. And she's like, the whole time she's like taking steps and she's like, I just can't do it. I just can't. And then fucking Rysland comes out of nowhere because he can read her thoughts because she has a tattoo, and he saves her. He brings her and kidnaps her again, a kidnapping, because she doesn't want to go, and like teaches her how to read. I guess she didn't know how to read. Teaches her how to read, gives her space to like figure out whether or not she really wants to marry Tamlin. And then of course she winds up falling in love with him. And she realizes that like even though he has this hard exterior and all of these things, like he's actually just a really good guy, and Valeris is actually like a beautiful city, and he's not the king of the underworld or something. And all of that being said, Rysland was still probably my favorite character in the whole series, now that I think about it. This book, I think, was by far my favorite out of all of them, even though it had that stupid vulgar gesture thing in it. I really liked how Rysland heavy this was, if I recall. It was either this one or that one. It's been about a year or two since I've read this series, so don't quote me. But he was an interesting character because he was a sex slave to this crazy woman who was like torturing all of these fairies, and we kind of thought that he was evil. And even though he had a lot of trauma, he was still a good guy, and he like did provide for Feyre and like give her space and try to teach her things. But he was also overbearing. He wasn't as overbearing as Tamlin, but in retrospect, was he really that much better? Like, yeah, he didn't lock her in a house. Kind of. He kind of didn't lock her in a house. He kind of took her to a tower or like an entire castle in the sky and was like, you gotta stay here. So, I don't remember if he told her if she could leave or not, but was he that much better? I don't know. Again, it's forced proximity. But he was probably the best character. That guy I liked, and then I also liked, oh God, what was the guy from the Autumn Court with no eye? He had a missing eye. Lucian. I kind of like Lucian. I thought Lucian was cool, and I would have liked to see his character explored more. And instead, he kind of just fell in love with this woman who wanted nothing to do with him. And she was also like kind of dumb. Like Elaine, I think her name is. Elaine is kind of dumb. And like while I understand that like that's like also a popular trope is to be like, oh, one of the sisters is kind of dumb and childlike, but like we love her anyway. It's just like, oh my God. But I thought Lucian, whatever the fuck his name is, all of the names in this book are fucked up. Sorry if your name's Lucian, whatever. I liked his character, and I thought that he should have been explored more. I'm trying to think about what else I can say about this series. I think it's poorly written. I think it's written like a fan fiction series. Like I feel like I could read something very similar on any fan fiction website. And I do feel like there's good things about this series, right? It's like it's easy to read. Pretty much anybody at almost any reading level can read these books, which makes it easy for people to get back into reading. So, like, if this is one of the first books you picked up in a long time, you haven't read in a while, or you haven't read anything complex or poetic or layered, then, like, I could see how this would be a really easy escape or into a whole nother world. You don't have to think about anything else, right? There's no themes in it that like bring you back into like the socio-political world in real life. Like there's nothing to think about, right? It's like the series doesn't say anything important. It's just purely entertaining. And maybe that's part of the reason I hate it and I don't let myself enjoy it. Because I do feel like when I read, I want to get something out of it. There has to be some kind of lesson for me. And you don't really get any lessons out of here. They're all very surface level. Like, this really reads like a YA series, but with smut. Like, if there wasn't so much sex in these, it would be a YA series. And yeah, it just feels like this opened up an entire world of books of like authors who were kind of trying to copy this writing style and this like escapism, saying nothing, like poorly written, tropey book series that has like a lot of books in it. I mean, if you look at Wing, what is it called? God, what is it called? Iron Wing or fucking I read it. Fourth Wing. If you look at Fourth Wing, I feel like Fourth Wing is very much like this, except Fourth Wing is worse. I will say that. I would give like these books like 3.5 stars. I would give this like 2 stars. And I would give this like 3 stars. Like it's not bad, right? It's like it's entertaining. There's qualities about it that are good. I can see the appeal. With Fourth Wing is so bad. I think I gave Fourth Wing 1 star. And if I didn't, I'm gonna fix it on Goodreads. Maybe I gave it 2 stars. Like, was I entertained at some points? Yes. Did it feel like it droned on and on and on and there were so many characters and there were so many deaths and like I just didn't care? Absolutely. But that's another book for another video, right? We're talking about these. She kind of like built this genre of like romantasy, right? Like, or at least popularized it. I had never heard of it before until after I read these books. I think that's cool. I think that's cool to like pioneer a whole genre or bring a lot of attention to a genre that already existed that not that many people knew about or didn't have a name for or a label. But it's kind of also unfortunate that like this is the series that did it. It's like I don't know if this is going to be a popular opinion, but these books are so good. I think these books are so good. And there's an awesome romance in this. And while it's not a traditional romance, Geralt and Yennefer have a very complex romance where like Geralt sees Yennefer, makes a wish, and she winds up falling in love with him. And then they have to figure out if it's because of the wish or if they would love each other anyway. And they both go on separate adventures all the time, and they're not always together in these books, and they like hook up with other people, and it's very complicated and complex, but they always wind up coming back to each other, no matter what. And like that is so much more interesting to me than like, I have to protect my woman, I have to make sure she's okay and that she never leaves my sight, and that she's pregnant and she's not a real person anymore. She's just an incubator. It's just like, oh my fucking gag me. And like the pure amount of sex that they had, especially in this book before she got pregnant, it was absurd. It was absurd. They could not stop fucking. Like there was a scene where like they were going from one castle to another or something, and she was like in his arms and he was flying, and they were having sex midair above a city. It's just like, come on, get it together, put it away. I just think like there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of world building. Like if you like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, great. This is a great book. This is much more interesting. It reads like a book that adults should read and not like a YA novel with smut in it. Better series. Far better series. And I don't know if that's a popular opinion. And I also don't care. I don't care. Geralt of Rivia. Toss a coin to your witcher, oh Valley of Plenty, oh Valley of Plenty, whoa. But anyway, back to these books. I feel like I talked about these. I mentioned this. There's really no need to mention this any further. Another thing I'll say that I liked that Feyre was an artist. I liked that she had a hobby and that she was good at it. It was never really explored like how she got good at it though, which I feel like could have been interesting. Like I would have loved to see her be like a more fleshed out, like well-rounded woman who wasn't just so focused on love and relationships, because that's kind of all she was. She was kind of like a woman who was put on a pedestal because she was powerful. Everybody wanted her. She just had to figure out like who was safe. It was never really about like her and her journey. It was really about like her journey with romance. I just feel like it would have been way more interesting if she had been fully fledged. Like if we had followed her in this whole book and there was no romance in it, and then there was romance in these two and all of these, like that would have been way more interesting. Like if we just got to know her separate from men, I think that would have been way cooler. Or like if we had gotten to know her and seen how complex her relationship was with the human guy in the beginning that she was sleeping with. Or like I just feel like there was so many things. Like I wish somebody would take this whole series and rewrite it better, because then I would probably love it, because these are like good bones. Like this is like a good foundation of a house, but there's nothing real about it. There's no substance. It's like eating crackers or like ice cream instead of a whole meal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I feel like we talked about these. Let's talk about these. I'm just going to get into this one first because that's just easy. You could totally go without reading this book and you'd be fine. I picked it up because I was finishing this series around Christmas time, and I knew that this was like a Christmas book, and I was like, you know what? I might as well pick it up. It's $16, which was the same price as all of these other books, by the way. It's $2 less than the giant book that I showed you in the beginning. I just feel like it was just a waste. It was just a waste of time. It's like 222 pages of nothing. It's just like, it was like watching a Hallmark movie or something. You know what it's going to be, and you know it's going to be bad, but you might watch it anyway. And that's really all I have to say about this. Okay, so the internet's favorite book. This book is incredibly long. This book is so long. It's so fucking long. How many pages is this book? Acknowledgements. This is 750 pages long. And it's the last book in the series, which I just feel like is so obnoxious. It is so obnoxious. So this entire book follows Nesta, which is one of the three sisters of Feyre's. And she is the most insufferable character in the entire series. She never appreciated anything Feyre did. She was basically a spoiled princess, even though she lived in squalor, and she never really did anything to help her family. And then at some point, she gets pushed into a cauldron and has to become a fairy. And she doesn't want to be a fairy. So she's pissed. As fucking usual, what's new? Yeah, she's just generally insufferable. This whole book is about her and her relationship with another fairy, Cassian, who she kind of doesn't deserve, in my opinion. She also has a lot of trauma, and this book kind of like, in a surface level way, shows her like overcoming her trauma, and it's all very dramatic, and she can't really get a grip on herself, and she's like ruining her relationships with her family and her friends, and she's hooking up with people every night. And why doesn't she ever catch anything? I don't know. Fairies. And she's just like, and you know, what I will say is I'm glad that she wrote a character that was non-traditional. Did she wind up in a super traditional relationship at the end? Yes. But I did appreciate that she wrote like a bad girl character, because Feyre was like such a goody two shoes the whole time, and Elaine is just this like little flower, dainty, stupid, numbskull girl. So I did appreciate that about this book. But also, did she have to be so insufferable? Did I ever like her at any point in this book? When she started training with the priestesses, I liked that. That's when I like kind of started to like her, but I was still like, it kind of pissed me off that she was such a bitch and she was so awful, and Cassian was still like head over heels in love with her, like would do anything for her. I'm like, have some fucking self-respect, for Christ's sake. And also, again, like in A Throne of Glass, Nesta is like incredibly powerful, and in some ways it seems like she's more powerful than even Feyre is, because she has like all of this rage inside of her that like fuels her magic, and it's scary, and everybody's afraid of her. She doesn't have any training, so she could just like blow up Valeris or something, basically, if she wanted to. And still, she runs into a Selkie or something at some point, and the Selkie basically forces himself on her, which was pretty dark and not something I expected from this book, I guess. Well, I guess Rysland was basically a sex slave, which is pretty fucked. So maybe I should have expected that. But the Selkie drags her into the water, and she like pisses herself, and she can't do anything. And it's like, I understand like fawn, flight, freeze response, right? But it's like, you are a fairy, and she was a fairy. She was a fairy. She was a fairy with a baddie and a daddy or whatever. Okay? I get it. I get it that you're a fairy. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I just feel like if you're that powerful, why are you afraid of a Selkie? Like, yes, they're kind of spooky scary, but like fucking pick up a knife, kill the guy. I don't know. Why are you going to let him drag you into the water? You're one of the most powerful people ever. And I just feel like there's not a lot of instances where the men in these books are like, oh my god, I just can't possibly do anything. I cannot take action because I'm so scared. Like, the men don't do that in these books, no matter how much trauma they have or whatever, if I recall correctly. So the fact that Nesta is just like, oh my god, I'm so scared. I just can't do anything without Cassian. It's like, oh, you literally just went underneath a mountain and fought skeletons with swords, undead people. And now you're going to piss yourself because there's a Selkie? Yeah. I mean, that's all I have to say. There's just like so much of this book is like tension and build up to like her and Cassian having sex and him lusting after her and her being like, I could not possibly date you even though you're perfect and everything about you is wonderful because I hate myself. I just feel like I'm over it. You know, it's like I'm over self-deprecation. I'm over like not having any self-confidence. Like, give me a strong female lead. Give me a strong female lead that doesn't suck right off the bat. I mean, even Feyre was insufferable a lot of the time. She was insufferable. Do I have any specific examples? No, because I don't remember. I don't remember anything about her except she was an artist, she used to hunt, and then she got kidnapped by a bunch of men. What else is there to know? The hell am I doing? I need to do this. Okay, Jiminy Cricket. That is my unbridled opinion on A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you agreed or disagreed with me, let me know in the comments. Please be nice to me. Please. I'm soft. I'm a soft little shell of a crab. I'm a soft shelled crab. I'm just a shrimp. I can't take it. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. But I'm open to hearing your opinion. If you really liked these books, let me know why. Will I ever read these again? I think it's unlikely unless I have to film a video about this for some reason. But am I going to keep them? I don't know. Probably not forever, but as of now, I will keep these books. That was my unbridled opinion on A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you had a different opinion, let me know. If you had the same opinion, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, even if you disagree with me. You might disagree with me on other things, but you might agree with me on other things. What am I saying? I drop new videos every Wednesday at 4 p.m. So I'll see you then. Bye.